You've just entered the no delusion zone. I'm David DeBatto. The focus of this podcast, this monologue, are the talks that are taking place right now in Saudi Arabia between representatives of the United States, the oligarchy of the United States of America, and Russia, what they like to call the Russian Federation. This is a travesty, folks. This so-called negotiation to end the war in Ukraine is a disgrace to the United States, certainly a disgrace and a travesty for Ukraine. It's a disgrace and a kick in the gut to NATO, the European Union, and all Western allies and Western democracies. Why? Well, let's just say because the United States under King Trump didn't think it was important that negotiating a possible end to the war in Ukraine would be a good idea to have Ukraine, the representatives of Ukraine, the country that was invaded, actually have a seat at the negotiating table. So they weren't invited. Also, the largest supporter of Ukraine, even larger than the United States, the oligarchy of the United States, has been Europe, the nations of the European Union and NATO. And again, not one representative of NATO or the European Union was asked to have a seat at the table. No, it's just Russia and the oligarchy of America, the oligarchy of the United States. And between these two so-called great powers, America, admittedly, even now is a great power. Russia, as has often been said, is a gas station with nuclear weapons. They're not a great power. They're a great joke, a very bad, frightening joke, but a joke. Nevertheless, the two powers are sitting at the table, the long, big table in Saudi Arabia, along with the mediators, of course, the representatives of Saudi Arabia, who are facilitating this travesty of justice, of international law, of morality. So between the two of them, Russia and the United States, they're going to decide the future, the fate of Ukraine for the Ukrainians, and indirectly for Europe. They're going to redraw the map. They're going to decide who gets what, and who dies, who lives, what country survives, and what country dies. Just like the great powers of the 19th century when they were playing the great game, when they decided borders, when they would draw the maps, when they would decide which countries existed and which countries would cease to exist. That's what's going on right now. And I tell you, it turns my stomach. It's also reeking of colonialism when the Western powers, primarily, no, actually all, it was solely the Western powers who would go into, seize, occupy, invade, and rape lesser countries all over the world, primarily in Africa and Asia, and then the New World, North America, South America, and extract all the natural resources and human resources they could out of those countries until they were bled dry. Well, that's exactly what the oligarchy of America is trying to do to Ukraine. They tried to extract about $500 billion of rare metals, rare earth as it's called, from Ukraine in exchange for continuing support. It's now leaked out that not only did King Trump try to extract $500 billion worth of rare earth from Ukraine in exchange for continued support. No, that wasn't enough. He also is going to try to strike a deal where, and again, this is just alleged, but I'm sure this is pure Trump. It's alleged that he's also, in addition to that hideous deal, asking for Ukraine to sign a deal, a lifetime deal, a forever deal, to give the United States 50% of all the profits made from their industrial sector forever, and give it to the United States. Essentially, bankrupting the country and making it a vassal state of the United States, a colony of the United States, a poor colony, a slave colony. Again, that not only turns my stomach, it makes me want to vomit. That's the kind of, I hate to call him a human, but that's the kind of individual Trump is. What's even worse is he surrounded himself by cult members who are just as bad. I've watched a lot of the live feed from Saudi Arabia and watching that scumbag Marco Rubio parrot Donald Trump. In fact, all three of those clowns representing the United States in Saudi Arabia were such cult members. Their adoration, their unadulterated ass kissing for Donald Trump was disgusting. They could just have been talking about Adolf Hitler or Stalin or Kim Jong Un. The vomitous words about Trump coming from their lips was just disgusting. And these are so-called Americans. They might have just as well have called them der Führer or der leader. That's what we've come down to. Among the many things that, not allegedly, look, folks, this is what's happening here. So I'm going to dispense with the allegedly. The other things being discussed at this table are restarting full negotiations with Russia. Doesn't matter that they're led by war criminals, that this is a terrorist nation who invaded a sovereign nation, seized 20% of the territory, is responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths, including maybe 500,000 or more deaths to their own people, millions made homeless, an entire infrastructure wrecked, hundreds of billions of dollars of damage done. Donald Trump wants to start relations with this country again. They're also discussing that Russia will have to pay nothing, no reparations to rebuild the country that they destroyed, the lives that they destroyed. So no reparations are going to be on the table, most likely. They are also discussing lifting the sanctions against a murderous, terrorist nation that the rest of the civilized world, the Western world, finds a pariah. But no, Donald Trump, who is strictly a businessman with no compassion, who gives nothing, doesn't give a shit about anything or anyone but himself and making money, wants to lift the sanctions against Russia so American businesses, mostly his businesses, can go back to Russia and continue to reap even more rewards from a genocidal, murderous regime. And as Marco Rubio said, there are plenty of good business opportunities in the future for American oil companies and others to return to Russia. So why not? Why not indeed? You know, our former allies, and right now I consider NATO, especially NATO and Ukraine, to be our former allies, even if they don't consider it, because we've obviously kicked them to the curb. We don't give a shit about them. My opinion, they shouldn't give a shit about America. They should tell us to take a hike. That, yes, they do need us. They're going to need us for a while. But except for extreme circumstances where they need something that only we can give them, they should tell us to go to hell and not consider us an ally anymore. If they want to consider us an enemy, that's fine too. But America is obviously no longer dependable. We are no longer a faithful ally. And I believe that Trump would not honor Article 5 of the NATO Charter and come to the aid of a NATO nation that was attacked by Russia. And they will be attacked by Russia if this continues. And I believe that Trump is going to pull America out of NATO. In fact, Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, now made a fool of himself today when he made a statement saying that he believes the Trump administration is absolutely committed to NATO. You lying sack of shit. I've lost all respect for you. Look, I know you're a politician. You kind of have to say nice things about everyone, including Trump. But don't lie. You know that Trump hates NATO and that at the first opportunity, he's going to get out and leave you whistling. So why? It just pisses me off. Stop lying. And on the domestic front, just briefly, I'm really tired of the Democrats being nice people, good neighbors, professionals when dealing with MAGA and Trump, and pretending that this is business as usual, that this is a normal government, that the Republicans are normal Republicans, when in fact, they are traitors, they are scumbags, they are not Americans. They have allowed a coup to take place. And I've made other podcasts about that, Musk and what's going on. I'll make more in the future, maybe every day. But the Republicans have allowed this country to lose its democracy. And an enabler to that have been the cowardly, full of shit Democrats. Look, and I'll close on this note. The Democrats, if you're at all sincere that you really do believe in this country and you're appalled by what's going on, say it. Not just say it like this and, oh, we're so concerned. We're very concerned. Shout about it. Get passionate. You're losing your country. Our democracy is gone. We're now an oligarchy, and it's getting worse. We're sliding into a total dictatorship, and you're making believe it's business as usual. Fuck you. Get off your seats. Get off your ass. Hold press conferences every single day. Go on podcasts. Go online. Go out into the streets. Let your voice be known. Get passionate about it, because right now, I don't think you, the Democrats, give a shit about this country, and you're just as guilty of what's going on as MAGA. And that's all for today. As always, please hit the subscribe button if you want to hear me get upset like this again, and I'm going to get upset like this again because I'm one of the few voices out here who seem to give a shit. There's others, like I keep saying, there are others, and they're much better than me, some of them, and they're far more popular. They do reach far more people than I do, but there's no one more passionate than me. There's no one more patriotic than me. No one who truly believes in the idea of America more than me. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here. I won't be intimidated. I won't be scared. I won't be insulted off of the air, off of YouTube, off of social media. So please help me, help the voice of the opposition. Hit the subscribe button. Tell others to hit the subscribe button. Go to buymeacoffee.com and buy me a coffee. And until I see you next time, you all take care, stay safe, and stay sane.